Well, number one. Good morning. I had a great drive last night. Absolute ball, love doing that sort of thing. I ended up travelling from well 10 when the sun went down to well 6 through the night. It was incredible. Even the section through well 7, where well 7 is, it's like Spaghetti Junction through there. There's that many little side tracks. You could probably get 100 cars through there, almost side by side, and then all file into one track again at the other end of well 7. So yeah, that was interesting driving that part at night. I didn't know about that, and that was good fun navigating my way through there. Saw some cattle, a few kangaroos, and lots of bird life darting in and out of the lights. And I hope you enjoy the night shots I took through there. I ended up getting into well 6 last night, about 9:30 I think it was, so it wasn't too late. Everyone was still awake, sitting around the campfires. They didn't mind me getting in so late, so that was nice of them. Caught up with a bloke this morning that was on the South Australian variety trip that I filmed. So that's going to be great, and I'll look forward to seeing him in April again when I go back to do the next variety trip. On the cards for today, the next well is well 5. I did take some shots of aerial shots of well 6 and some photos of the well itself. It's a really nicely restored well, and something I'm finding once I've gone sort of south of well 20, I suppose, is there's a lot more information. There's information signs around the campsites telling you about both the Canning Stockaroo history and the Aboriginal history of the area, and it's really good. I've found it very interesting. The stories are great on the individuals that lived and worked along the track, and the traditional owners of the land who describe their interactions with the people that were coming along the track. So definitely worth a read, and I'll post some photos up so you guys can have a look at that. On the cards for today is well, I think I'm going to get to Winditch Springs probably lunchtime or before. It's 8:30 at the moment, and I've only just left Perry Springs. And yeah, on my way to well 5 now. It seems like most of the wells down south here have been restored. The one back there, I think from memory, it was restored by the Geraldton 4x4 Club. So that's pretty cool. Geraldton's a second home for me. That's where my parents and grandparents live. Looking forward to getting into Winditch Springs. That's one of those places that is quite famous along the Canning Stock route as being another oasis in the desert, a bit like Durbar. Although Perry Springs was a nice surprise as well. Well 6 got huge big shady trees, beautiful campsite area, and a really nice place to stop overnight on your way north or south. So I may get to the end of the Canning Stock route today. I'm not quite sure. I think it's only about 200 k's away, and I think a lot of the section is a little bit quicker now. So I'm already doing 40. So I've averaged for most of the Canning Stock route about 20-25 k's an hour, and just I noticed once I got sort of south of 17, my average started getting up around 40 k's an hour. So I'm getting through the k's that little bit quicker. So yeah, I may actually get into Wiluna late this afternoon, and if not this afternoon, then sort of early morning or mid-morning tomorrow. So that's kind of exciting. A little bit sad that my trip along the Canning Stock route is slowly coming to an end, but I'm pumped to get home and see my family. So I've been on the road now for over a month, and yeah, looking forward to seeing my boy. Alright, that's enough for me. I'm going to get back to driving. I'll put the drone up again when I get to Winditch Springs, and I'll take some more photos and video around the restored wells through this southern section. So stay tuned. Arrived at well number 5, another beautifully restored well, back in 2004 by the CSR Wells Restoration Chamberlain 9G Tractor Club members. So they've done an incredible job. Nice concrete top here, and as always, these things are immaculate. The restorations that different groups and people have done over the years have really highlighted how harsh the area was to live and work, and the effort that people have gone to actually restore these wells is quite significant. It's bloody windy and cold. Too windy and cold for this Pilbara boy. It's about 10 degrees. It got down to about 2 degrees this morning when I first woke up. I'm still rugged up even though I'm in the car. It'd be a lot of hard work restoring these wells, and you really can't thank them enough. When you are out here personally, the restored wells do a lot for the canning stock route to give you that sense of place and presence of what it was like 100 years ago when they were trying to run cattle through here. It's pretty important. They need everyone's support, and if you can, I'm definitely going to be getting back and donating to Track Care, who have done such a wonderful job restoring most of these wells, and I highly recommend you do too. Alright, off to well 4. Oh, it's freezing. Yeah. Oh, turn the music down. It's been interesting country to drive through. It's fairly familiar for me still, but the amount of tracks going in all directions is still a bit challenging to navigate. You're not quite sure whether you should go left or right or straight ahead, and it can make it a little bit tricky, especially at night, to find your way around, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this turn-by-turn navigation program. It should help people out a lot and get rid of a lot of the confusion, and give you fair warning when you are coming up to some of these places where there's 10 different tracks going off in all sorts of directions. And if you're here right at the beginning of the season, then it would be impossible to figure out which one to take without going looking and trial and error. Later in the season, you can see the wheel tracks from other travellers, and you can follow those, and you can sort of see which one is the most common track out of the whole lot. But if you're here quite early or late, then those tracks are going to be gone, and you'll just have to work it out the best you can. All right, off to well 4. So I've just passed through CSR well 4B, but from 6 to 4B, it's been really windy. At first I thought it was just a car that I was catching up to in front of me, kicking up the dust. And then I realised it was actually a dust storm coming my way. Winds are well over 50 odd kilometres an hour, which not all that helpful when it comes to fuel, because it's a headwind for me at the moment. So now's as good a time as any to chat about fuel usage. And the last section that I'm doing is, I've come up to a gate, so I've got to change. I've just come through the gate to Kunyu station as well. This, if you've got a trailer, you're not actually allowed to go through this station at all. You've got to go to the well 5 sort of bypass around this section. Due to erosion and whatnot on the track, they've actually changed the direction of the track as well through Kunyu station, so it can restore the original track back to what it was. because it's so windy, when I get to Windage Springs fairly shortly, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get the drone up so you can get a good aerial look of the area, which will be a bit of a shame because there's only probably, you know, a dozen places along the track where I really wanted to put the drone up, and Windage Springs was, you know, one of those. So I'll see how it goes. It is a very high quality drone. It's a commercial drone that can do more than 100 kilometers an hour. So it's a DJI Inspire 2 if you're into that sort of stuff. So it can handle a lot of wind, especially when you compare it to, say, the Phantom 4 or Phantom 3. So I'll see how it goes when I get there. I hope I can get some aerial shots of Windage Springs. I think it'll be beautiful. Also, I don't think there's a huge amount of drone footage of the Canning Stock route, so I may just be one of the very first people to go up and down the Canning Stock route, filming the highlights with a high quality commercial drone in 4K. So I did a bit of research. I couldn't find a lot of drone footage, so I'd be very honoured to be one of the first to do it quite comprehensively. Alright, I am, let's see, Windage Springs. I am only about 5 kilometres now to Windage Springs. The wind's still blowing its guts out, so I'll see when I get there. I noticed too with this headwind that I was starting to use a lot more fuel, so I figured it's as good a time as any to tell you about the fuel condition that I've had and how much I've gone through so far for the trip. Right now I have a little bit over a quarter of a tank, which means to me I've got about 60 litres left. I'm expecting that that I will make it quite comfortably with that 60 litres. That's in the main tanks. I've actually still got two 40 litre jerry cans here that are full sitting in the seat behind me. So, you know, I'm definitely going to make it fuel wise, but I really wanted to make it with just the fuel that I could carry in my tanks, because that's what this car was designed to do. You know, that this track in particular is what I built this vehicle for. So it's a bit of an accomplishment for me that all my maths and calculations and all that planning that has been going on for over a couple of years, if I get into Overlander with 40 litres of fuel left in the tank, then I have basically nailed my calculations. I'd be very happy with that. The first segment of my trip I did Pilbara. I filled up at Pilbara and went to the Aboriginal community, Kunawaji. I'm sure I've pronounced that about 10 different times on this one trip. That 650 odd Ks through there, I averaged 22 litres per 100. Looking at what I'm doing right now, I think the second segment between that community and Overlander, I'm going to be averaging about 20 litres per 100, between 18 and 20, somewhere around there. So I'm doing really good on fuel economy. I'm really pleased with how the whole trip's gone with fuel. But this stonking headwind that I've got is actually going to make it so I use up a little bit more fuel than I was planning on doing. This section, you know, through last night when it was a tailwind, I was getting 16 litres per 100, and right now I'm averaging 20 litres per 100 because it's so windy, 50 kilometre an hour winds, and you know, being quite heavy and a big boxy cruiser, she doesn't do so well in the wind, even though I'm only averaging 40 kilometres an hour. So yeah, looking forward to Windage Springs, and I'm going to get there in probably about 20 minutes or so. It's 10 AM on I think it's Tuesday, the 1st of August. So 1st or 2nd of August, one of the two. Bloody hell, I don't even know what day it is. And an incredible trip, and I'm starting to drive and sort of reminisce of the trip that's just gone by. I'm being quite reflective today, so I may put some of those reflections, no, I will put some of those reflections into the final video. And especially I've been going through my mind about the expectations I had before I left of the track and what I was expecting, and I'm looking forward to telling you the difference between those expectations and the reality that I found out on the track. I've found it quite interesting, a lot more interesting than I predicted at the beginning. Yeah, it's been a fantastic trip. Definitely have to do it at some stage in your life. Come down, do the Canning Stock route. Come and join me, hit me up. I don't need much of an excuse to do it again, so hit me up and I'll take you down the Canning Stock route. You'll have an absolute blast. Just arrived at Winditch Springs, and it's still bloody windy. They fenced it off now, so you can't actually get too close to you can't park right on the springs themselves, which is fair enough. You got to look after it. There's a lot of erosion through there, where you can see from heavy wet seasons the creeks have been quite chopped out over the years. Winditch Springs is a nice spot to camp. It's got camp toilets, fire pits, all the good stuff that you see at the very northern end and at the very southern end, and a couple of places in between. It's got a nice little information centre there with a little bit of the history of the area and how it got its name. Trying to protect the microphone from the wind, which is a bit hard when it's blowing like its guts out. Beautiful waterway. There's even little turtles that live in this waterway. I'm going to go try and find some if I can. But yeah, we'll get you a nice view over the edge. Just climbing down the rock face. It's pretty good. It's almost been eroded into steps, or perhaps someone cut it that way. Trying to be careful so I don't fall over with the camera again. And we're down. A little bit of salt down here, which is a bit of a shame. I'm walking over that white stuff you see there. That's not sand, that's salt. So considering we want turtles and whatnot living in this water, that salinity is not very good at all. And hopefully it's either being fixed or it's isolated, so it's not going to cause a drama. Can't find any turtles yet, but they're only small, so I'll go a bit further up. Beautiful crystal clear water. You can see right through it, right to the bottom. It's not very deep. I thought there might be more water here after the wet season we've had, but perhaps the rain didn't get down this far. Haven't seen any fish in the water yet, let alone turtles. Although I might have to go a fair way up before I get to the deeper sections perhaps. You can see just on this side in amongst the trees how high the flooding can get through here. With all the sediment and whatnot pushed up against those trees. That's almost eye line to where I am now. So you can imagine this thing being 2 or 3 meters deeper in floodwaters. I wonder where the turtles go to survive that. Must come up on the land surely. You can see how steep this bank is as well all along here. So all that water erosion there, you can imagine this thing being absolutely chock-a-block full. That's about 2-3 meters high, this bank. An enormous volume of water will be travelling down this creek line. Well, I didn't see any turtles. That's probably because I'm stomping around with work boots on and scaring them all away before I get there. Beautiful spot. Absolutely must do and must stop here when you travel along the Canning stock route. There's just sort of sign, there's nothing on it though. Windage Springs. Wish I could show you it from the air. As you can probably hear in the microphone, I've got a windsock on it, but yeah, they're only so useful. Once you get over about 20 kilometers of wind, they basically go straight through the windsock. Anyway, I'm going to walk back to the car and keep heading to Overlander. Peace out. Well, that's it. Well, number 1, the end of my Canning Stock Route trip. Absolutely stoked to be here. The car performed like an absolute dream, and I've had the trip of a lifetime, as you will too when you get to do the track at some stage. I don't even know what to say. I'm really happy. This has been a long time in the making, long time in the planning, and I finally done it. Fucking stupid grin, isn't it? Amazing. Incredible track. Thank you so much for watching my Canning Stock Route series. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out my Pilbara series, check out my Kimberley series. I've got a whole bunch of content there already, and I've got a whole bunch more coming later on. I'm going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them. So yeah, I'm off to Overlander to have a beer and a counter meal. I think I've deserved it. I think I've earned it. And then back home to my beautiful wife and son. So that's it. Well, number 1 on the Canning Stock Route. Finishing here 2017. You may be starting here 2017, 2018. Whichever way you go, get out here and do it. You won't regret it. Brilliant track. Woohoo!